Well, my job as chair is to hand this session over to Warren M. Washington, senior scientist in the Climate Change Research Center section at the National Center for Atmospheric Research. And it's my great pleasure to introduce him to you today. After receiving his PhD from the Pennsylvania State University, he went on to an extraordinarily distinguished career in atmospheric science and climate research, with a specialization in computer modeling of the Earth's climate. Warren Washington has served on many national committees, including the Secretary of Energy's Advisory Board and the Secretary of Energy's Biological and Environmental Research Advisory Committee. In 1998, he was appointed to the NOAA Advisory Board, and President Clinton appointed him to the National Science Board, where he served 2 6-year terms. Warren Washington is a member of many learned and scientific societies, including the American Meteorological Society and the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. His awards are also many, including the Le Verrier Medal of the Société Météorologique de France, the Department of Energy Exceptional Service Award for Atmospheric Sciences, the Charles Anderson Award from the American Meteorological Society for his pioneering efforts and passionate support for initiatives to foster a diverse population of atmospheric scientists. In addition to many other recognitions and distinctions, including election to the APS in 2003, Warren Washington was awarded the National Medal of Science by President Obama in 2010. So please welcome Warren, who will chair this morning's session. I've been instructed to ask you to please turn off your cell phones just for this morning, so that we can all pay very close attention, which we need to do. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone, this morning. It was about a year ago that Bill Brinkman of the Meeting Committee asked me to prepare a symposium on observed climate change. I was happy to sort of do so. I did not anticipate the election. But anyway, we moved forward. And in talking about trying to set this up and coming up with a slate of excellent people who could speak very knowledgeably about observed climate change, I was notified by Annie Westcott that there was a paper in the archive. And the paper in the archive was from a presentation in 1969 from Dave Keeling, who was shown here in the figure. Now, the importance of this is that up until this time, on the measuring, the actual measurement of carbon dioxide was a very controversial subject. People had been measuring it with imprecise atmospheric chemistry and came up with several different values in the preceding years. But it was very difficult to kind of see how you could see a trend. And Dave Keeling came up with a chemistry way of doing that was highly accurate. Also, he picked out a spot in the world where you can actually have an indication of a well-mixed atmosphere. And he picked out a place in Hawaii on the mountain of Mauna Loa, so that the air coming from across the Pacific was well mixed, and he can get very accurate readings of the CO2 concentrations. Now, as you notice on this figure, there's an up and down figure, and that is the atmosphere is breathing in carbon dioxide in the growing season, taking it out of the atmosphere. and then in the fall and winter on the decaying vegetation gives carbon dioxide back to the atmosphere. Now, the importance of this is that you see a trend. Now, even when he wrote this paper in 1970, and it's in the proceedings of the American Philosophical Society, he speculated about other forcings caused by volcanoes, by solar intensity from the sun, and these other sources of possible observed climate change hadn't been sorted out then. But in the 48 years since that time, there's been an enormous amount of research looking at the various forcings. And carbon dioxide still is one of the major sources of observed climate change. You probably hear a little bit of this from some of the other speakers. I won't go into it, but I wanted to just point out that the American Philosophical Society had a key role in getting started on the dialogue and helped establish in this single paper the importance of trying to sort out what's going on in terms of observed climate change. I might point out that if we had covered other areas of climate change, we would be talking about climate modeling, which is my field, and also about the impacts of climate change on all kinds of things. But we're not going to talk about those this morning. Those will be left to another session.